I want you to imagine for a moment what it feels like to carry the weight of judgment, rules, and expectations that never seem to end. Imagine being told all your life that your worth depends on how perfectly you follow a list of do's and don'ts. Imagine striving for approval, for acceptance, and constantly feeling like you fall short, no matter how hard you try. That, my friends, is what religion can feel like to many people. And yet, at the same time, there is a love so profound, so liberating, and so transformative that it has the power to set your life on fire with purpose and passion. That love is found in Jesus Christ. Today, I want to speak to you with urgency, to empower you with truth, and to shake you awake to the difference between religion and relationship, between rules that bind and love that frees. Religion, as it is often practiced, can be suffocating. It can make life a list of obligations rather than a journey of discovery. It can reduce the heart to a set of rituals and the spirit to a checklist. It tells you what to do, but it rarely shows you why you do it. It often whispers, "You are not enough," and leaves you striving, scrambling, and exhausted. Have you ever felt that? That relentless pressure to measure up, to perform, to prove yourself. That is why so many people walk away from religion, not because they hate faith, not because they despise God, but because the system that claims to represent Him feels cold, distant, and judgmental. It is a trap that focuses on human effort instead of divine grace. Religion says, "Do this, don't do that," while love says, "Come as you are, and let me heal you." Now contrast that with the heart of Jesus. Jesus did not come to burden people with rules that crush the spirit. He came to breathe life into weary souls, to give hope to the hopeless, and to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. He came to remind us that love is stronger than judgment, grace is greater than guilt, and faith is far more powerful than fear. Jesus looks at you not at your failures, not at your performance, but at your potential, your heart, and your capacity for love. And in that gaze, everything changes. In that gaze, you are free. In that gaze, your life gains meaning and urgency because you begin to understand that you are not here by accident. You are here for a purpose, a mission, and a destiny that only God can unfold. Let me tell you something that every person needs to hear. Following Jesus is not about being perfect. It is about being real. It is not about checking boxes. It is about unlocking your heart. It is not about appearing righteous to others. It is about living authentically in the light of God's truth. There is power in authenticity. There is freedom in honesty. And there is life in surrender. Religion tells you to conform. Jesus tells you to transform. And transformation is urgent because life is fleeting, opportunities are passing, and destiny waits for no one. When you love Jesus, you begin to see the world differently. You start to understand that the most powerful force in the universe is not judgment or condemnation, but love. You see that your failures are not the end of your story, but the starting point for something greater. You learn that grace is not a reward for perfection, but the fuel for progress. And you discover that your life, with all its struggles, doubts, and imperfections, has the capacity to shine with a brilliance that no system of rules can ever extinguish. Think about the stories of transformation in the Bible. They are not stories of people who followed every rule perfectly. They are stories of people who encountered Jesus and had their lives radically changed. A tax collector becomes a disciple. A fisherman becomes a leader. A woman shunned by society becomes a voice of hope. Every story is a testament to the fact that Jesus does not come for the perfect. He comes for the broken. He comes for the lost, the weary, the tired, and the desperate. He comes to ignite a fire in your soul that no judgment, no ritual, no rule can ever snuff out. And here is where the urgency comes in. The world is moving fast. Time is short. Opportunities are slipping through your fingers even as you sit there, waiting, hesitating, or doubting. Jesus does not wait for you to clean yourself up perfectly before He calls. He calls now. He calls today. He calls with love, with mercy, and with a vision that can catapult your life into realms you never imagined. To delay is to deny yourself the life you were meant to live. To hesitate is to allow fear and doubt to keep you small when God intended for you to be mighty. Empowerment in the Christian life comes not from striving to follow rules, but from stepping into the promises of God. It comes from understanding that you are more than your mistakes, more than your limitations, more than the opinions of others. It comes from realizing that God has equipped you with gifts, talents, and a calling that cannot be diminished by failure or hindered by circumstance. Your potential is unlimited, not because of your effort, but because of His presence. And the beauty of it all is that this power is available to anyone who is willing to surrender and believe. Now, some people will resist this message. They will say, "But I have to follow the rules. I have to earn my way." And here is the truth. No amount of rule following, no amount of striving, no amount of perfection can ever equal the freedom that comes from walking with Jesus. Rules without relationship are empty. Rituals without love are hollow. And effort without grace is exhausting. The moment you understand that your life is not about proving yourself to others, but about embracing the purpose God has placed within you, everything shifts. You begin to live with boldness, courage, and unstoppable momentum. Let me ask you a question. Are you living or merely existing? Are you waking up each day with passion and purpose, or are you going through motions dictated by fear, guilt, or obligation? Jesus came to give life, life in abundance, life overflowing, life that impacts not just you, but everyone around you. And that life is urgent. Every second wasted in doubt or hesitation is a second stolen from the destiny God has for you. You cannot afford to wait. You cannot afford to settle. You cannot afford to compromise the fire that burns in your soul. Empowerment comes when you understand that you are not alone. Jesus walks with you through every trial, every storm, and every victory. He strengthens you when you are weak, encourages you when you are discouraged, and reminds you when you forget your worth. Religion can make you feel isolated, like you are failing on your own. But Jesus says, "I am with you always, even to the end of the age." And that promise is more powerful than any rule, any tradition, or any expectation that man can impose. Think about what that means for your life. It means that no matter what challenge you face, no matter what obstacle stands in your way, you have a source of strength that never fails. It means that your life has significance beyond what you can see, impact beyond what you can measure, and hope beyond what you can imagine. It means that love is your anchor, grace is your fuel, and faith is your compass. And it means that you are empowered to rise above mediocrity, to break through limitations, and to live a life that is not only extraordinary but eternal in its influence. I want to challenge you to embrace this urgency. I want to challenge you to stop allowing religion to dictate your worth, to stop letting fear control your choices, and to stop hiding from the life that Jesus is calling you to live. Stand up, step out, speak boldly, love fiercely, dream wildly, and act decisively. There is no time to wait. The world is full of distractions, doubts, and delays. But you have a calling that cannot be postponed. You have a destiny that cannot be ignored. And you have a Savior who believes in you even when you struggle to believe in yourself. Religion often tells you that you are defined by what you do. Jesus tells you that you are defined by who you are in Him. Religion says you must earn your way. Jesus says you are already loved, already forgiven, and already empowered. Religion focuses on rules. Jesus focuses on transformation. Religion creates compliance. Jesus creates courage. And that difference is the key to unlocking a life of purpose, passion, and unstoppable momentum. So today, make a decision. Decide to stop letting religion confine you. Decide to stop living for approval, for tradition, or for fear. Decide to live for love, for grace, and for the mission God has placed in your heart. Step into a relationship with Jesus that is real, dynamic, and transformative. Let His love drive your actions. His power fuel your efforts, and His vision guide your steps. Because when you do, nothing can hold you back. Nothing can limit your potential. Nothing can silence the fire within you. And remember, empowerment is not just for you. It is for everyone you touch. Your faith becomes contagious, Your courage becomes a beacon, and your life becomes a testimony that inspires others to break free from the chains of religion and embrace the life-changing power of Jesus. The world is desperate for hope, for love, and for proof that transformation is possible, and God has chosen you to be that proof. He has chosen you to live boldly, love fiercely, and leave a mark that will outlast time itself. So I urge you, with urgency, to act now. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait until you feel ready, and do not wait until fear has passed. Step into the life God has for you today. Embrace the love of Jesus, the power of grace, and the freedom of a heart that is fully surrendered. Let go of religion that confines, judgment that condemns, and rules that exhaust. Let your life become a living testimony of love, courage, and unstoppable faith. You have been given a gift, the gift of life, the gift of purpose, and the gift of eternal hope. Do not squander it. Do not compromise it. Do not let it slip through your fingers. Instead, stand tall, walk boldly, and live passionately. Love Jesus with everything in you. Trust Him with every step, and let His power transform every area of your life. And in doing so, you will not only find freedom and fulfillment for yourself, but you will become a catalyst of change, a source of inspiration, and a living example of the difference between religion that confines and Jesus who liberates. So rise. Rise with courage. Rise with faith. Rise with a sense of urgency that cannot be ignored. Your destiny is calling, your mission is waiting, and your life is meant for greatness. Embrace it. Live it. And let the world see what happens when someone stops living for rules and starts living for the love, power, and grace of Jesus. Because when you do, nothing, not fear, not doubt, not failure, not religion, can ever hold you back again. You are empowered. You are chosen. You are unstoppable. And your best life starts now. Religion can often feel like a heavy burden, even though it is meant to guide, protect, and inspire. Many people grow up believing that their value is tied directly to how well they adhere to rules, rituals, and expectations imposed by institutions or traditions. From a young age, they are taught that approval, love, and acceptance are conditional. They must perform, they must achieve, and they must conform. This creates an environment where fear and guilt become constant companions, overshadowing the joy and freedom that faith is supposed to bring. People spend their lives trying to measure up, striving to check boxes, and worrying about whether they have done enough to be worthy. They begin to see themselves through the lens of shortcomings rather than through the perspective of inherent value. The problem with this approach is that it focuses on human effort rather than divine grace. Religion, in this sense, can reduce a living, breathing relationship with God into a set of mechanical actions. It emphasizes what one must do over who one truly is, and in doing so, it often alienates the heart from the source of love. The irony is that the rules and rituals, which were meant to bring people closer to God, often create distance. They tell you that you are responsible for earning love, rather than revealing that love is freely given. People may attend services, say prayers, and follow traditions faithfully, yet feel empty, disillusioned, or disconnected because the system prioritizes obligation over connection. It teaches performance over passion, compliance over creativity, and judgment over grace. In these moments, many walk away, not because they despise God, but because they cannot reconcile the weight of rules with the freedom and joy that they secretly long for. Religion can make the heart feel small, life feel mechanical, and purpose feel distant. It can create anxiety, self-doubt, and even resentment, because the measure of success is constantly moving, subjective, and impossible to fully satisfy. This is why it is important to distinguish between religion and faith not as enemies, but as fundamentally different approaches. Religion can provide structure and guidance, but it becomes harmful when it prioritizes control over relationship, judgment over compassion, and obligation over love. When people understand this distinction, they can begin to see that the problem is not faith itself, but how it is, often presented. The goal is not to abandon discipline or moral living, but to recognize that these outward behaviors are meant to flow from a heart transformed by love, not enforced by fear. In short, religion often confines, restricts, and pressures the human spirit, whereas faith in Jesus invites freedom, hope, and a sense of purpose that transcends rules. It reminds us that our worth is not conditional, that God's love is not earned, and that true spiritual life comes from connection rather than compliance. Understanding this distinction opens the door to a new way of living, one that is not weighed down by judgment, but lifted by grace, not shackled by obligation, but empowered by love, and not defined by failures, but inspired by the limitless potential of the human soul when touched by God's presence. Unlike religion, Jesus offers a transformative love that is radically different from the burdens of obligation or ritual. Jesus does not come to measure you, condemn you, or impose impossible standards. Instead, he comes to meet you where you are, to see your heart, and to ignite potential that you may not even realize exists. His love is active, powerful, and personal. It does not depend on your performance or your adherence to rules. This love restores hope to the hopeless, peace to the restless, and purpose to the wandering soul. The difference is profound. Religion tells you what to do, while Jesus tells you who you are. He invites you into a relationship rather than a system, offering freedom where there was constraint and life where there was emptiness. Those who have truly encountered Jesus know the difference immediately. There is a sense of relief, of release, of joy that cannot be manufactured or earned. It is not a fleeting emotion. It is a foundational change that affects every aspect of life. In his love, the broken find healing, the lost find direction, and the weary find rest. People are not transformed merely by following a set of rules, but by being seen, accepted, and empowered by someone who understands their heart completely. Jesus' love teaches that failure is not final, mistakes are not fatal, and flaws do not disqualify anyone from experiencing grace. This is a liberating concept for a world conditioned to believe that worth is earned, not given. When a person embraces this love, life takes on new meaning. Challenges are no longer insurmountable because they are faced with divine strength. Failures are no longer permanent because they are met with forgiveness and opportunity. Relationships are no longer shallow because they are built on the foundation of compassion, empathy, and understanding modeled by Christ. Furthermore, this love is inherently empowering. It gives courage to act, boldness to dream, and resilience to endure. It motivates people to rise above mediocrity, not out of fear, but out of hope. Jesus does not demand compliance. He invites participation in a journey that is transformative from the inside out. The heart begins to expand, perspective shifts, and life gains clarity and purpose. The urgency to act, to grow, and to embrace destiny is born from a place of love, not obligation. People start to see themselves not as victims of circumstance or products of failure, but as children of a creator with immense potential. And this realization brings with it an unstoppable drive to live fully, love deeply, and contribute meaningfully. Unlike the constraints of religion, Jesus' transformative love allows for authenticity, vulnerability, and radical growth. It encourages individuals to step into their gifts, pursue their calling, and influence the world around them with courage and conviction. It is not a passive love. It is a love that compels action, inspires hope, and changes the course of lives, communities, and generations. Those who truly embrace this love understand that it is more than comfort. It is power, purpose, and the key to living a life of significance and eternal impact. Following Jesus requires authenticity, not perfection, which is a radical shift from the pressures of conventional religion. The emphasis is not on how flawless you appear, but on how genuine you are in your faith. Life is messy, human beings are imperfect, and circumstances are unpredictable. Yet Jesus calls people to embrace this reality, surrender their struggles, and trust that transformation begins where authenticity meets grace. Many spend years trying to hide flaws, cover up failures, and project an image of perfection, all while feeling inadequate and unworthy. This approach only breeds anxiety, self-doubt, and spiritual fatigue. Authenticity, on the other hand, liberates the soul. It encourages openness, honesty, and vulnerability. By being authentic, you stop wasting energy on maintaining appearances and start investing energy in growth, purpose, and meaningful impact. The key is realizing that faith is not about a flawless resume of accomplishments or moral perfection. It is about a living, dynamic relationship with Jesus that changes the way you think, act, and relate to others. When authenticity drives your faith, you gain clarity about your values, align your actions with your calling, and build a foundation that can withstand trials. People start to focus on progress rather than perfection, effort rather than approval, and love rather than judgment. This shift creates a powerful momentum in life because it redirects energy from self-condemnation to self-empowerment. Moreover, authenticity nurtures trust. Trust in God, trust in others, and trust in yourself. You stop relying on external validation and start finding security in the transformative power of Christ's love. By embracing authenticity, failures become opportunities for growth, mistakes become lessons rather than labels, and challenges become stepping stones instead of obstacles. In essence, living authentically in faith means surrendering pretenses, letting go of fear, and stepping boldly into the path that God has prepared. It is about allowing your heart to lead, rather than your ego or the pressure of expectation. This authenticity is not passive. It is a dynamic force that fuels courage, innovation, and impact. People who live this way inspire others, create genuine connections, and experience life in its fullness. They stop being prisoners of judgment and begin to thrive in grace, creativity, and purpose. When faith is grounded in authenticity rather than perfection, life becomes not only bearable but extraordinary. It becomes a journey of discovery, empowerment, and profound transformation, proving that the measure of a life well lived is not in flawless execution, but in wholehearted engagement, faithfulness, and courage to embrace one's true self. Life is urgent. Time is fleeting, opportunities are passing, and destiny waits for no one. Many people get caught in patterns of hesitation, procrastination, or self-doubt, believing that there will always be a better moment to pursue their calling or embrace their faith fully. But life does not work that way. Every day that passes is an opportunity lost, a moment that can never be reclaimed. Jesus teaches that the time to act is now. Waiting for the perfect conditions, the ideal circumstances, or the complete removal of fear is a recipe for stagnation. The urgency is not fear-based, but purpose-driven. It is the recognition that God has placed you in a specific moment, with unique gifts, challenges, and opportunities, and that every second counts toward fulfilling your calling. The world will continue moving, whether you act or not, and hesitation can lead to regret, lost, potential, and opportunities slipping through your fingers. Embracing life with urgency means taking bold steps, making decisive choices, and trusting that God will guide your path even when the way seems unclear. It means refusing to let fear, doubt, or societal expectations dictate your pace. It means understanding that every action, no matter how small, can have ripple effects beyond your imagination. The urgency is also spiritual. It is about recognizing that your time to live fully, love deeply, and impact profoundly is limited. Every day wasted in fear or indecision is a day you will never recover. The call is clear. Move forward, step out, and embrace the destiny God has prepared. Urgency drives focus, clarity, and determination. It prevents stagnation, encourages resilience, and inspires immediate action. People who live with urgency are not reckless. They are intentional, deliberate, and motivated by purpose. They seize opportunities to grow, love, and lead. They understand that waiting for perfection is a trap, and that bold action, fueled by faith, is the key to achieving extraordinary outcomes. Living urgently is a mindset that refuses complacency, challenges mediocrity, and ignites passion. It aligns daily choices with God's calling, ensuring that life is not merely lived, but fully expressed in purpose, faith, and impact. Empowerment through grace is a cornerstone of Christian living, distinguishing it from the performance-based approach of religion. True empowerment does not come from following rules, meeting expectations, or accumulating accolades. It comes from understanding that God's grace is sufficient, that His strength is made perfect in weakness, and that your life has intrinsic value and potential regardless of past failures. Grace frees you from the weight of self-condemnation and allows you to walk boldly in faith, creativity, and purpose. It encourages you to recognize the gifts, talents, and calling you possess, and to act decisively, knowing that God equips you for every challenge. Empowerment through grace is transformational because it shifts the focus from self-effort to divine partnership. You are no longer trying to prove your worth. Instead, you are responding to God's love with confidence, courage, and vision. This empowerment manifests in action, taking bold steps, embracing responsibility, and pursuing opportunities with faith-driven determination. It transforms mindset, behavior, and outcomes, creating a life marked by influence, resilience, and meaningful impact. The beauty of grace-based empowerment is that it is accessible to everyone. It does not depend on status, background, or past mistakes. Anyone who trusts in God's power can experience this liberation, step into their calling, and achieve what once seemed impossible. When grace drives empowerment, life becomes a series of intentional, faith-fueled actions rather than a cycle of fear-driven compliance. Impact beyond self is the final, essential point of embracing a life centered on Jesus rather than religion. True faith is not only about personal transformation, but also about the ripple effect it creates in the world. When you live authentically, empowered by grace, and guided by urgency, you become a source of inspiration for others. Your life testifies to the power of love, courage, and faith in ways that transcend words. Others see your freedom from fear, your resilience in adversity, and your joy in purpose, and they are inspired to seek the same. This impact multiplies as your life intersects with others, family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers. By embracing the principles of Jesus' teaching, you create environments where hope thrives, courage spreads, and love becomes tangible. Religion can often limit impact by focusing on rules over relationships, but a life lived in connection with Jesus naturally influences others in positive, transformative ways. Your story becomes evidence that liberation, empowerment, and divine purpose are real. Your faith becomes a beacon that motivates action, instills hope, and challenges mediocrity. Ultimately, your life becomes a living testimony of what is possible when someone chooses love, grace, and courage over fear, judgment, and constraint. This impact is eternal, not temporary. It leaves a legacy that inspires generations, changes communities, and advances God's purposes in the world. Your empowered life becomes a catalyst for transformation far beyond your personal journey, illustrating that true fulfillment is found not in rules, rituals, or approval, but in loving, serving, and empowering others through the example of Jesus. As we reach the conclusion of this journey, it becomes clear that life is far too precious to be spent chasing approval, following rigid rules, or living under the weight of human expectations. Religion, while offering structure and guidance, often measures worth by performance, compliance, and outward appearances. It can make the heart heavy, the spirit weary, and the soul feel inadequate. But Jesus offers something radically different, a love that meets us where we are, restores what is broken, and ignites the potential within every heart. He calls us to a relationship rather than a checklist, to grace rather than judgment, and to freedom rather than fear. It is not about perfection, but about authenticity, not about obligation, but about transformation. Life is urgent. Every moment carries opportunity, and every delay risks lost potential. Waiting for the right time or for fear to vanish will only keep dreams unrealized and destinies unfulfilled. Jesus calls us to act now, to embrace the life he offers fully and courageously. Empowerment through grace allows us to step beyond limitations, rise above past failures, and walk boldly into our calling. It is through grace that we gain strength when weak, hope when weary, and clarity when overwhelmed. This empowerment is not based on what we achieve, but on what God has already made possible within us. When we choose to follow Jesus authentically, With urgency and in grace, our lives begin to ripple outwards, touching others in ways we may never fully realize. Our faith becomes a beacon of hope, courage, and inspiration, showing others that transformation is possible, that love is powerful, and that life can be lived with purpose. We are not just living for ourselves, we are living to impact families, communities, and generations. So today, let us leave behind the chains of judgment, obligation, and fear. Let us embrace the freedom, love, and power that Jesus offers. Step boldly into your calling. Live with urgency, and let your life reflect the transformative power of God's grace. The world is waiting. Your destiny is calling. And the time to act is now. Walk in faith, shine in love, and live as a testament to the limitless power of Jesus. Life is fleeting, but your impact can be eternal.